everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with the Scrapping for Less February 2019 Flavor of the Month card kit, and its theme for this month is Whip It Up. So there's a lot of cute things having to do with baking and cooking, and there's a lot of punny sentiments that go along with this. With this kit I made 5 different cards, including the sneak peek, and so that's the first one that I'm going to jump into here. With it I used kit 4, or collection 4, and in that collection you're going to receive Cookies and Milk paper by Scrapping for Less, Cookie Mouse Stamp by Scrapping for Less, Mice Dies by Gina Marie Designs, they're little itty bitty dies, Baker's Twine by Doris, and a Sequin Mix by Scrapping for Less. So that's what is in collection number 4, and that is what is used on this card. The cardstock that you're going to receive is My Favorite Things cardstock. The colors are Sour Apple, Razzleberry, Blue Raspberry, Wild Cherry, Grout Gray, and Craft. You'll also receive 2 sheets of Nina 110-pound Classic Crust Smooth Solar White and 4 A2 size envelopes, and that will come with either one of the options that you choose for the Flavor of the Month card kit, whether you get the double dip or you get the banana split level. The double dip includes all 4 collections and the cardstock, and then the banana split level includes an extra packet or collection that includes some other things and extra goodies. So for this card, I stamped the image. I'm using the Hero Arts Intense Black ink to stamp the image, and I use Copic markers to do the coloring, and I had those up there. I also just fussy cut this image out, and what's kind of cool about this stamp set is there is a lot of words that are all separate, so you can kind of create your own sentiment, and you can create your own punny sentiments with it. Now, I didn't use that part of it for this particular card, but I did end up using that later on one of the other cards, where I kind of built my own sentiment around it. With this, the measurements for the pieces, I had a standard A2 size card, and I used the Craft cardstock. So I just cut it in half and then scored it at the 4 1/4, and then used the bone folder to crease that. The paper measurements are as follows. The main panel is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. The circle is 2 3/8. The banner that is fishtailed is 1 inch by 4 inches, and then the sentiment strip is a 1/2 inch by 2 1/4 inches. And then I just kind of pieced all of that together. I decided to add that little cookie there kind of at the end, and I just cut that out of one of the pattern papers. The sentiment was a little bit too long, so I kind of cut that off, but that size of 2 1/4 inches is what it is when it's complete. The other thing that I used was part of the banana split level. The banana split level also came with a collection that includes Heart Silver Glossy Dots by Pink and Main, and that is what you see me putting on there. The banana split level also includes a whisk and rolling pin die by La La Land Crafts, Whiskey Business stamp set from Scrapping for Less, and Diamond Sugar Dust by Craft Decor. Now, those are the Copic markers that I used to color this little girl, and in a few minutes or seconds here you're going to see another grouping of colors that I used for the hair. So I did this a little bit different because I ended up coloring all of the images that I'm using on the cards first and cutting them out, and then I created all of the cards. I did remember to check out the paper to make sure that my colors will mesh well with the papers that are part of the collection, so that's a good thing. And I do end up using the scan and cut to cut out all of the images once I finish up on it. Now I don't end up coloring the little mouse again. Since I had already used it on the sneak peek, I decided just to try to find something different from the card kit so that you get a lot of different ideas that you can do from the card kit. If you haven't subscribed to the kit, you can head over to www.scrappingforless.com and you can subscribe to it. And there's a couple past kits I know that have not sold out, so you can always pick up a past kit, or like I said, you can just subscribe to it so that you can make sure that you always have one every month. So now I'm moving on to coloring the little boy. Those are the colors that I'm going to be using for him. I use the blues for his little jeans, shorts, and his shoes. I use the red for his shirt, the green for his apron, and the grays I'm going to use to give some shadows to the white for like the white hat and his oven mitts. And then the flesh tones for his skin tone, and his hair is kind of a reddish color. Now these are the colors that I'm going to use on the pies. I end up using the same greens that were part of that I used on the apron and the bowl for the little girl and the apron for the little boy on the bottom of the tin for the pies, and then I just used a red and a blue to fill in some of those little holes, so that it ended up looking like either cherry pie or blueberry pie or strawberry pie, but something with those colors. And a couple of them I stamped the little faces that were there. So this is the next card I'm going to make, and one of the things I normally do when I get the collection and I have the sketches is I kind of look at what's in the collections and decide which collections I want to make with each sketch. So sometimes if it's a large image and maybe there's not a large area for an image on the sketches, so I just kind of try to figure out where I'm going with all of them. So the first card I'm going to make here is collection 2, and I'm using sketch 1. And as part of collection 2, you're going to receive Baked with Love paper by Scrapping for Less, Baking Luca stamp by La La Land Crafts, Baked with Love ephemeral from Scrapping for Less, baking stickers by Sticko, and a sequin mix from Scrapping for Less. Now the measurements for this card, for the back panel, it's 2 inches by 5 1/4. That kind of one in the center of the front portion of the card is 4 inches by 2.5 inches. The sentiment strip is 2.5 inches by 1/2 inch. That thin strip down the center is 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inches. And then the main area where the image is going to be is 2 inches by 3 inches. So those are the measurements that I ended up using while I was making this card. I don't know if they are the exact images of this, but it looks pretty close to that, and since they weren't there, that's what I just came up with. Now this was the card that I ended up using that stamp set from the 4th collection, the Cookie Mouse stamp that kind of had all those separate words and kind of created my own sentiment in there. And I was playing with it and doing a couple different things. Since the sentiment looks to go up and down, and I didn't really want to have someone turn the card sideways in order to read the sentiment, I decided to make the sentiment go up and down. And I was just kind of playing around here and trying to figure out how I wanted it to look and to straighten it all out and make it straight. I will definitely say the pieces are small, so I would suggest using something like the reverse tweezers or something to hold on to them if you have any type of trouble like I was having. I ended up doing kind of all of this cockeyed and kind of made it a little bit fun for the sentiment to go down, and it says that I like you more than cookies, so I thought that was kind of cute to go along with this. And I thought it was a little fun since it was a boy stamp and it wasn't too cutesy, but I thought it was cute enough to go along with that. And I played around with this for quite a while, trying to decide exactly where I wanted everything and how I wanted it to go and where I wanted to put it exactly. Since I had peeled up that small center strip there, I just used some liquid adhesive to hold it down because it was kind of sticking up at the end since I had played around with it so much. I do end up popping up the sentiment and the stamped image of the little boy Luca with some foam tape, and then I go back and I use the Silver Heart Glossy Dots by Pink and Main on this card as well for all of the little kind of accent pieces that they have there. And that is card number 2 that I made with this kit. Now card number 3, I used sketch number 4 and kit 1. So this one has the little girl as part of collection 1, and that includes Cupcake Cuties paper by Scrapping for Less, Baking Mercy stamp by La La Land Crafts, Cupcake Liner papers, a roll of cupcake ribbon by American Crafts, and a sequin mix from Scrapping for Less. So that's what you're going to receive with that collection. And then for, like I said, this sketch, I used sketch number 4, and the measurements that I have with that for the back panel, it is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. The kind of center piece that is down the center is 1 1/2 inches by 4 1/2 inches. The oval piece that I used was 3 inches by 2 1/2 inches. I don't know, this one in the sketch itself looks a little bit longer, but that's what I had, so that's what I was using. The hearts that I used were 1 3/8 inches and 7/16 of an inch, and I just kind of pieced those together. And then the sentiment strip I used was 1/4 of an inch by 2 3/4 inches. So those are the measurements for all of the pieces that I used on this card. I really love this. I love the bright papers. I love the bright colors. I think this is probably one of my favorite papers because, like I said, I really adore the really bright colors like that. I think they're great. And then I thought this stamp was just super cute and went really well with the whole theme of, I guess, the papers and everything that was included with it. So I just thought it was super cute. And then I put a lot of sequins on here because I was kind of thinking of it like sprinkles on top of a cupcake. So I added lots, and I think 12 altogether of the sequins. And then I used my Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen just on a few areas there just to kind of give it that last bit. Now for my 4th card, I am using kit number 2 again, and so that's the one that has the Luca, the little boy stamp, but I end up not using the stamp or anything. I end up wanting to use this ephemera that comes with it, and I think it ends up being really cute. And I use sketch number 3 with this one. And you can see there I'm going to cut the white edge around the pieces that I end up using. The reason why I did that was, one, I wanted it to fit inside of that circle, but also because I wanted to kind of split the middle of that bowl and kind of make it look like the whisk was inside of the bowl. So that's why I did that. Now the pieces for this that I used, the sizes for the panel in the back, or the strip in the back that's kind of down the center, is 1 1/2 inches by 4 1/4. That's the one that goes, the stripes that go all the way across the card. The panel with the rounded edges that I just used with the crocodile to round those edges is 3 1/4 inches by 4 3/8 inches. Then the piece that is on top of that is 4 1/4 inches by 3 inches. The strip that is underneath the circle is 3 9/16 by 1/2 inch. And then the circle I used was 2 7/16 inches. And then the piece up on top, that's a piece of the ephemera that says "What's Cooking." And I thought this card turned out super cute, and I really, really liked it, just kind of using those images, and I thought it worked out really well. Now the fifth and final card, I used sketch number 2. And I kind of pieced different pieces of this together. So I used collection 3, which includes Let's Bake a Pie paper by Scrapping for Less, Cutie Pie stamp by Long Fawn, Handmade with Love round stickers by SB Labels, recipe labels by Doris, and a sequin mix from Scrapping for Less. So I used that, but then I also used the Whiskey Business stamp set from Scrapping for Less. So what I end up doing is stamping one of the panels with embossing ink, and then I heat embossed with embossing powder. I heat embossed that whisk sentiment and the whisk that is part of that stamp onto that panel. And I end up using Wow embossing powder that has glitter that is part of it, and that's how I end up getting that on there. And I don't know why I had this idea of stacking all of those pies up, and then it says be a whisk taker, and I just thought it was so, I don't know why I thought it was funny to stack the pies up like they were going to fall over, and then to have the sentiment be a whisk taker. I thought that was funny. So I made this card using sketch number 2, and it is the kit 3, and like I said, the banana split level. Now those measurements are on the paper that you got there, but I did do it a little bit different because I wanted the strip on the bottom to kind of be like a table or something that was holding all of the pies. And see how I kind of made them like they were starting to fall over? And then I used the sequins on there. But I didn't have all 3 strips go all the way across because, like I said, I wanted it to look like they were on a table or something. And then I just used some Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen to finish it off. So that's all I have. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I want to thank everyone for joining me.